Hi, I'm Attorney Joshua Prince, Chief Counsel at the Firearms Industry Consulting Group, a division of Prince Law Offices PC. Today I want to discuss ATF compliance inspections. To many federal firearms licensees, it's that dreaded day when ATF shows up to conduct what's called a compliance inspection, but it doesn't need to be that way. While this video is not intended to be a comprehensive review of everything that you should know or anticipate during a compliance inspection, it is designed to notify you of a couple key issues that we're seeing throughout the United States in relation to compliance inspections. First, it's important to understand the purpose of a compliance inspection. The purpose, simply put, is to ensure the licensee's compliance with federal law and regulation. It's also important to understand the limitations on a compliance inspection and when ATF is permitted to conduct a compliance inspection. Under the law, ATF may conduct a compliance inspection once a year during your stated business hours without a warrant. While it's questionable whether such is constitutional, the U.S. Supreme Court previously held that the law permitting ATF to search your records absent a warrant was constitutional. The reason I say it's questionable is that the court relied heavily upon ATF's practices and procedures at the time, which are no longer applicable. Therefore, it draws into question as to whether the court would so rule in that fashion today if a proper challenge was brought. Also, that challenge was a facial challenge and not an as-applied challenge. Therefore, I tell all my clients that you should never consent to any compliance inspection or any other search of your records absent a warrant. Now, it's important to understand what records ATF is permitted to review. ATF is only permitted to ensure your compliance with federal law and regulation. Therefore, if your state additionally requires you to maintain forms or other forms of record, you are not required to disclose those to ATF, and my advice would be that you not disclose those records. ATF can only ensure your compliance with federal law and regulation. In that vein, that means records that generally you will have to disclose are your acquisition and disposition records, any executed 447-3s, and multiple handgun sale forms. While there are a couple other federal forms that a licensee would have to disclose because they're not as applicable across the United States and are more limited, we'll do a separate video reviewing those different records and how to properly maintain them. Also, it's important to understand that all your records must be maintained on your premises. You can never remove your records from your premises unless you have a court order directing you to do so. In that vein, if an IOI or an industry operations inspector ever asks you for original copies of 447-3s or your acquisition and disposition record, you should respectfully decline. If they require a copy of a particular 447-3, you should simply provide them a copy, not the original. Only if you're provided a court record should you ever disclose, a court order, should you ever disclose an original copy of a 447-3 or any other federal record that you're required to maintain. Another issue that we unfortunately see every once in a while is what I've termed the problematic IOI. Every once in a while, you will see an industry operations inspector who, prior to even meeting the licensee, will come into that compliance inspection believing that that licensee has already violated the law. It's unfortunate. There are some industry operations inspectors that as soon as they get a badge, they get a chip on their shoulder. It's important to understand that you should always consult with counsel if you do have a situation where you have a problematic industry operations inspector. It's also important to understand what you must provide. And what the law says you must provide ATF access to are simply those federal forms that you are required to maintain. You are not required to provide ATF with electricity, fax machines, email, photocopiers, or anything beyond the scope of simply those records that you're required to maintain under federal law and regulation. Again, if you do have a situation with a problematic IOI, always discuss such with counsel immediately so that it can be rectified in a quick fashion. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. We would greatly appreciate any comments if you'd place them below. Also, if you like this video, please subscribe to our station, as we'll be producing more videos to provide federal firearms licensees with the information that they need to ensure their compliance under federal law and regulation. Thanks.